Gavin Lalong, the DG of the Tinubu APC campaign organization, is defending the Muslim ticket of his party. He says the Pope has not told him just yet that he's done anything wrong by accepting to lead the Tinubu campaign. And 7 more victims of the Kaduna train attack today got their freedom from their abductors, those who have been abducted since March this year. Hello everyone, welcome to the program. This is Politics Today, live on Channels Television, your home for the news. Tonight, we get started with some of your biggest stories as far as Nigeria is concerned. Let's keep tabs and continue to look at how things are panning out as far as the education sector in Nigeria is concerned and the university strike by the university lecturers, that is. We continue our countdown over the strike action by the university lecturers. It is now 179 days since university lecturers in federal universities in the country began the strike action, keeping students away from the classrooms. The standoff between the federal government and the university lecturers continue, and the students continue to be idle. President Buhari is giving a 2-week ultimatum to the Minister of Education to ensure that the standoff is resolved. Nigerians are now looking forward to the stakeholders getting their acts together to resolve what has become a national embarrassment. There will be some good news, some drinking and eating and rejoicing in the homes of some of the victims that got their freedom today. The families will indeed be very grateful. Now, today, 7 more kidnapped passengers of the 28th of March train attack in Kaduna State have regained their freedom. The victims were released earlier today after spending 135 days in the custody of the terrorists. It is, however, not clear if any ransom was paid to the terrorists for their release. Although the police authorities are yet to confirm the development, a member of the negotiating team, Mr. Tuko Amamu, to Channels Television that 6 of the released hostages are members of the same family, which includes a couple and their 4 children. So far, 42 victims have regained their freedom. The number of those still in captivity now stands at 35. Gunmen had on March the 28th blown up the rail track, killing some and abducting scores of passengers, a situation that called for serious concern about the safety of the nation's trains. Well, attention, of course, is some of those subjects you've seen on your headlines. But tonight, we'll get to speak with Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who's got the news and also was given details about what happened in Owo. We get some more details and facts about the incident. He's live with us tonight on the program. But before we get talking with him, let's check out some of your political roundup stories.
Governor of Ondo State, Rotimi Akeredolu, has urged Nigerians to put aside religious sentiment and focus on achieving a purposeful leadership capable of turning things around for good. Governor Akeredolu gave the advice while giving a memorial lecture at the University of Ibadan. The governor says the sentiment of religion is a weapon of mass mobilization and a political tool to create confusion, as well as manipulate the masses to grab power for relevance.
Those who want to override the politics for personal gain to lend their voices to the issue of resource generation and control of the Federation Union.
Governor David Umahi of Ebonyi State has called for an understanding between the government and the Academic Staff Union of Universities. Governor Umahi made this statement while delivering a speech as he received a team led by the Director General Budget Office and member Police Trust Fund Ben Akabueze in his office in Abakaliki on Wednesday. He also pointed out that it is time Nigeria's educational system is overhauled, with special attention focused on primary and secondary education.
So it is important for us to, show some understanding, and for those those who are negotiating on the side of government also should understand it.
The Campaign Council of the Action Democratic Congress is warning against divisive campaigns that will further widen the fault lines that have divided the country since independence in 1960. Director General of the ADC Global Campaign Council, Mr. Abdulaziz Suleiman, told journalists at a news conference in Abuja that Nigeria's unity should be paramount, as conflicts and disagreements are of no value for anyone.
Every Nigerian must realize by now that leaders and governments we elected cannot or will not do enough to bring them to an end.
Ogun State Governor Dapo Abiodun says proactive measures are being taken to boost the fortunes of the education sector of the state economy for optimum service delivery. Governor Abiodun gave the assurance in Abeokuta while playing host to the Ogun Teach Intern program to express their gratitude to the opportunity to serve at various schools across the state.
The deficit that we're dealing with did not happen overnight. So we'll continue to take step by step in that journey. But I can see the promised land in sight.
The Osun Progressives, a caucus of the All Progressives Congress in Osun State, is urging the National Working Committee of the party to immediately see to the restructuring and re-energizing of the party in the state for greater future performance. The recent defeat of the All Progressives Congress in the governorship election in the state has sparked conflict among different groups in the party. Speaking at a press conference in Osogbo, a loyalist to the Minister of Interior, Rauf Aregbesola, notes that the caucus of the party was not responsible for the failure of the party in the election, as earlier claimed by the leadership of the party.
Also, APC should undergo immediate reorganization, rebooting, re-engineering, re-energizing for greater performances.
And the president of the Southern Kaduna People's Union, Mr. Jonathan Asake, has emerged as the governorship candidate of the Labour Party in Kaduna State. Asake emerged through consensus after his only rival, Shino Madinga, stepped down for him during a substitution primary held in Kaduna State.
Let's tell you that Governor Simon Lalong of Plateau State was at the presidential villa earlier today, and he's criticized Christians who have opposed his acceptance to serve as the Director General of the Presidential Campaign Organization of the All Progressives Congress, APC. He's saying that as a Catholic with the highest papal award, the Pope has not told him what he's doing is wrong. After a meeting with President Buhari today, the governor, in a question and answer session, noted that as an awardee of the Knight of the St. Gregory, he remains a staunch Catholic despite his new responsibility to market a Muslim presidential ticket. Take a listen to Governor Simon Lalong.
As a Catholic, everything we do it and we send the advice to the Pope. The Pope has not told me that what I'm doing is bad to accept Director General. As a Catholic, we take that direction. But generally, as a governor of a state, I said as a governor of a state, I'm not responsible to only my faith. I'm responsible to other people who belong to other faiths, who don't even share, who are not Muslim or Christians. So that is what I took an oath of office. The purpose of my oath of office is to take care of those people. When it comes to politics, it's a matter of choice, matter of interest. In every political party, you have Christians and you have Muslims. In every political party, there's opportunity for you to vote for a Christian or to vote for a Muslim. If you don't want a Muslim, you wait until the electoral day, you go and vote. It be your choice. If you don't want a Christian, you go there and go and vote, not accepting responsibility in a party. I am a member of the APC. I will say a founding member of the APC. I don't do anti-party activities.
So, Governor Simon Lalong, the DG of the Presidential Campaign Organization of the APC. Now, the suspected attackers of St. Francis Catholic Church in Ondo State were yesterday announced that they were being arrested. The Chief of Defense Staff, General Lucky Rabo, told journalists at a parley with media executives in Abuja yesterday, which a meeting held at the defense headquarters in Abuja. He said the suspects were apprehended during a joint operation involving the military, the Department of State Services, and other security agencies. Meanwhile, General Boa is assured that the 2023 elections will go on as planned, and the military remains committed to democratic ideals. Well, Governor Akeredolu yesterday also was giving more details about the incident and how those that were arrested, and in fact, those who harbor those the attackers that were also arrested. He was giving details yesterday in Ondo State. Tonight, we're looking more into the details of the activities of the attackers, how they went by, what they did, what was done, and perhaps how to stop this kind of incident in the future. And perhaps also look at the security of Nigeria generally. Governor Rotimi Akeredolu will be speaking with us live on the program tonight, albeit virtually. Before we get Governor Akeredolu into the conversation, we're being joined by the chair of the House Committee on Army, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdez. Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us tonight.
Thank you so much, Joshua.
Now, for what we saw yesterday and the development of today, the 7 more people that have been released by the abductors, let me first and foremost get your overview of the situation of security in the country, at least in the last 1 or 2 weeks.
I thank you, Sean, for the opportunity. We all know that the security situation is not a very good news because we have been having little challenges here, including kidnappings and threats to people's lives, rustlings of cattle and what have you. What I think the security agencies or security personnel are doing their best, since we have heard of arrests and attempts to also forestall future attempt to also continue to kidnap. Government has been putting things in place, but I think this is the general mood in the country as far as I'm concerned.
I'm asking you for an assessment for one reason, because things were terrible, bad. Nigerians were very agitated, to the point that your colleagues were asking for the resignation of President Buhari. In fact, they were asking for the impeachment of President Muhammadu Buhari. Things got that bad. And a lot of Nigerians were also asking that, why did the lawmakers keep quiet to that point? May allow you to get that bad. You are sitting on the committee that oversight the army. How did we get to this point in the first place?
Truly speaking, when people say the National Assembly or the legislators are not are keeping quiet, it may not really be very true. Because I chair the committee on army, very critical, and we are in a situation where my committee should be very visible. Shaun, I want to tell you that all security committees in the National Assembly have been meeting with stakeholders of the security in the country. And we have a meeting from time to time. Let me even give you just one of it. You remember even the Speaker of the House of Representatives, at one point in March 7th, 2021, a special summit was put in place where security experts were involved, many members of the academia, CSO, the legislators, traditional rulers, all stakeholders were involved, where we discuss security issues and we profile recommendations. Some of the recommendations were even legislative in nature, some were executive also in nature. Those that were supposed to be under our purview as legislators, I can tell you we were able to do our own bit. Let me give you an example. We had some bills that out of the summit, we had some bills that we brought onto the floor of the House. I sponsored one of the bills, and then we have done in the House of Representatives, we finished it, and we have passed it to the Senate for concurrence. So I think we've been doing our own part, but the thing is that with security, it's not every discussions we have with stakeholders in the security sector that you would always make it public.
What can you tell Nigerians? We know that not every aspect of a security discussion you can make public, but what can you tell Nigerians that is fundamentally wrong with the security architecture that Nigerians have to suffer what they're facing right now?
I think first, we are over-relying on kinetic measures to deal with security issues. Nigerians, as I speak, or as we speak, or as we are being watched, Nigerians expect, for example, that all these crisis situations, the challenges we find, that the Nigerian military should be able to deal with the situation in a week's time. And Mr. Sheon, I can tell you that let us understand the fact that the internal security challenge is an operations of the police, not the military, for example. The Constitution recognizes that. So therefore, we should not over-rely on kinetic measures. We should also rely on non-kinetic measures, providing certain issues. For example, the local government system in this country is not working. It's also great security.
But there will be those who criticize and say, because, for example, the case of the Kaduna train attack victims are there.
Yeah.
They're being released in piecemeal. You know, and it's so sad that the families have been waiting for them to return since March. It's bad enough that their attack happened. It's worse that some of these people were abducted. It's even worse that the pictures and videos of them were being released. But thank God that some of them have been released. But the question is, those are asking, is even the federal government involved or the government involved in their release? Perhaps it's just citizen initiative to get them released. Now, the big question here is, it looks so much that the police is overwhelmed. Are they?
I can't just say just the police is overwhelmed. We need to
You made reference, and the reason why I ask you made reference
yes,
to the police,
yes.
It's a police work.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, so the question is for the military to intervene or to come into the fray means that something was fundamentally wrong.
It is
so
on this.
Is the police overwhelmed?
I want to speak for the military because I chair committee on army.
But you guys in the house
for the police,
sat down, honorable. You guys in the house sat down and looked critically into the problems of security in the country.
Yes.
So the question is that, have you identified? Because there's been a question mark on the capacity of the police, whether they have the personnel enough to take care of the security needs, civil security needs in the country. So that's why I'm asking the question. Does it look that they are overwhelmed? Do we need the military to come into for the rescue?
We need, but we are not supposed to have the military stay forever because we have a crisis.
Is it because the police is overwhelmed?
No, the police and the army are also overwhelmed. That's the true position. Because if the Constitution says that in the event of insurrection, in the events of crisis situation that is over the power of the police, you can invite the army. But the army is not supposed to come and stay forever. They are supposed to come and solve a situation and get back to the barracks. But the situation we are having is that as chair, I can tell you that the military are in 36 of 36 states doing civil operations. And what we are saying is that, well, the situation is unfortunate. The police should be well trained. I come from Adamawa State. And I can tell you, if you go to Borno, where the town called Gwaza, this was where the mobile police were being trained in those days. Today, even in the recommendation of the summit of the security summit of Mr. Speaker, we suggested that there should be 40,000 mobile police unit that would be well trained to handle certain situations. Today, as a young man, when I was growing up, the mobile police were capable of taking care of all security situations, all uprisings. Today, it's not the same story because they need also to be trained and they need equipment. So what I'm saying is that attention should be paid to the police.
Those things that you place in that report,
yes,
has any part of it been implemented since March last year?
Well, I told you that we have both legislative and executive recommendations.
You oversight the executive.
On our side, we have done our part.
But you have oversight. Can you report to Nigerians? Because Nigerians will hold you responsible. You get the votes of your constituent members to get into the House. So can you tell them tonight that whatever that was done in that report, anything has been done on it,
something has been done. Let me start to tell you on what is from my side first. I've told you that I'm even sponsoring one of the bills that will reform the Nigerian Armed Forces, where we agreed that human rights days should be also established in all the army formations. And then I've done my own part. But the point is that the bill cannot become law until our colleagues in the Senate concur with some of the recommendations and all the bills. These are legislative
You have not done your part. You know why you have not done your part? There is an intertwining nature of the separation of powers. I mean, you have your role as lawmakers. But one role that you have over the executive is the oversight.
I agree with you.
If you make laws, You also have the oversight to see whether or not those things. So you had a report which Nigeria, with their own money, funded. It wasn't free. So if that report was ready, what happened to the report? It's over a year now that that report has been released.
That's what I'm telling you. With the report I have, there are things that the executive is carrying on. For example, when you have things that are done at the executive level, there are timelines as to which some of these decisions can be concluded.
Are they producing results?
They are doing their own.
No, are they producing results?
Or the results, depending on which one you are talking about.
No, because, I mean, the essential result will be for lives and properties not to be destroyed, for people not to be kidnapped. But as of a few days ago, people were being killed.
Shewon, this kidnapping thing, I cannot say that because of a report, I don't expect to say that I will not kidnap.
No, but
there should be effort in that direction.
I give an example.
When we said in part of the recommendation that in the Nigerian police force, there should be a team that can liaise with forest guards to be able to stop kidnapping. They are doing it as I speak, but I cannot say because they are doing it currently, they can cease to stop kidnapping.
Just quickly before I bring Governor Akeredolu in, the funders, the federal government has always mentioned the issue of those funding terror, and they said we will release their names, but up to now, that has not been done. Do you have an idea of why that has not been done?
Well, I think they are told in the security situation so that you don't further complicate more issues. Right now, the truth is that anybody who is funding terrorism, the EFCC and the ICPC and some of the agencies are doing their job to track people who are seen or alleged to be involved in sponsoring terrorism. Now, until you go and conclude, and until you are sure that your investigation is conclusive, and then you can tell the public. If you attempt to come up with names that you are not sure have not finished the investigation, it could also be against you because you can also be sued. But they are doing their own part.
Just stay with me, Honorable. Let's bring in the governor of Ondo State, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu, who joins us virtually from Ibadan, Oyo State. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight. Perhaps congratulations might be in order, considering the arrest of some of these elements who have been linked to the attack in the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo. But, Your Excellency, let's begin the conversation. Perhaps, if I should show our viewers the timeline of the events since the 5th of June when the attack happened. On the 5th of June, 2022, the gunmen attacked the worshippers at the St. Francis Catholic Church in Owo. 40 people were said to have been killed. Several other people were left injured. On the 9th of June, the federal government came after the FEC meeting to say that ISWAP, the terrorists, were behind the Owo church attack. The following day, Governor Akeredolu said he disagreed with the federal government's link of ISWAP to the Owo attack. He says, quote, the conclusion too hasty. On the 24th of June 2022, Ondo State Security Network Amotekun call, the commander claims arrests have been made. And these are some of the words of Mr. Adetunji Adeleye, the Amotekun commander in Ondo State. He says, quote, a number of people have been arrested concerning the Owo issue, as well as a number of equipment. On that day, we pursued them to the point that we recovered the vehicle and we are still pursuing them. We have told you that until we get to the root, I can assure you that the perpetrators and their sponsors will be brought to book. That was at a press briefing he held in Akure on the 24th of June 2022. The following day, Governor Akeredolu signed an executive order for compulsory installation and use of closed-circuit television CCTV devices in all public and private institutions in the state. So, I mean, for the Owo attack, you've seen what happened. You've seen the end of the Amotekun call, the effort, the trailing, compared to what happened in Kuje. What do you think? What lesson do you think we can take away from those two scenarios that stand out to us as a people?
Truly, for me, I have read the Minister of Interior, and I really support one aspect of the thing he said, that the correctional centers should also be policed by people who are trained and who are trained in protecting this kind of high pro areas. For example, we must not rely on all institutions to be taken care of by the army. We will require this correctional service personnel. Some of them should be, a team should be created where they should be able to be trained by the military so that they can be able to protect their institutions. When the Senate President visited Kuje prison, he said there was not even CCTV camera. So apart from the physical personnel who can be able to counter some of these attacks, we should have in place, we are in technological age. Let us have some of these things in place so that even before the attackers could arrive, we have the intelligence, we have everything around us so that we can be able to be ready. So I think we need that. But the thing is that all the time, it is expected that all these institutions, my brother, should be protected by the army alone. So I think these are the areas that I think.
So I asked the question because the scenario in Kuje and that of Owo, there are similarities. Yeah. And if you look at what happened in Owo, the Amotekun Corps commander said they trailed them. That is a counter-action to what has happened, the attack. Now, in Kuje, there are no reports of anybody trailing those who attacked the correctional facility. And that's the reason why I asked the question. And the question that a lot of people have asked, that it's high time that the state government or the state governors had the powers to be able to control the security in their state. And those who are asking for state policing, why is the National Assembly not making this a matter of urgent action?
It was part of the recommendations I also told you about the security summit. Some of us, including myself, we agreed that we need a state police. But it's a constitutional amendment process that has its own timelines. And it's in the offing. Until it goes through those timelines, you cannot just have it in place. So I agree with you that we need to have state police so that the governors in their state can also be able to, we can hold them responsible for some of these issues. That I agree with you.
For those who believe that, look, the National Assembly can take this up. I mean, if you think that this is what the nation needs.
We have supported it. But the point I mean, that
if you are lawmakers,
yes,
is it difficult for you to take this up from the scratch and make sure that it happens? This is what the nation
give you an example, sir. There are things that we need to know. For example, if we take certain decisions in the National Assembly that we need state police, we will require the state houses of assembly that we don't have control over them.
But the state houses of assembly are experiencing insecurity too.
Yeah, but that is as for the state houses of assembly.
No, the point I'm making is
we have made attempts to solve some important laws. For example, local government autonomy. Let me give you an example. We agreed at the National Assembly that the financial autonomy of local government should be given. We agreed, but we will require 2/3 over 24 or 26 of the state, and we couldn't get it. And there's nothing you can do about it as a National Assembly member because the states are very important. So sometimes even the governors at the state level also try to make state legislators not to agree on certain issues so we can have it. And I can tell you, even these state police are talking about, some of the governors don't even like it. Some of the governors like it, not all of them.
But from what we understand, that majority of the governors are in support of it. And usually, where you see the governors go, the state assembly go in that direction. If you look at most of our constitutional amendment process, that has been reflected.
I have told you.
That, yeah. So if most of the governors are in support of state policing, why is the National Assembly afraid to take it up to that point where the state assembly...
Before it even gets to the national, gets to the state level, we have conducted our own. I have told you that in the National Assembly, we've agreed to state police. But it has to go through the states. We have to look at the votes that come from the state. If it does not have the 2/3, it can't fly. So it is not our decision alone.
All right. We'll take a break, but let me just confirm that Governor Akeredolu can hear me. I could hear some sound from his end. Governor, can you hear me?
I'm hearing you well.
Oh, fantastic. Just stay with me, Governor Akeredolu, because we need to take a break. And when we come back, we'll dive into some issues that have become some good news coming out of Owo in Ondo State in the wake of that event and what the CDS said and some of the issues that you have raised in regards of it. Stay with me, everyone. We'll be right back after now. Thank you so much, everyone. We were having some scare about connection with Governor Akeredolu, but we understand now that the connection, I tried to test that, and I can hear him, and he also can hear me. Governor Akeredolu joins us virtually from Ibadan in Oyo State. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us. From what we heard from you yesterday, it does look like there were some group from Kogi State who are living in that community. And there was an escalation of activities and actions. We'll get deeper into that. But you raised that the federal government was too hasty in its conclusion when it linked that incident at the St. Francis Catholic Church to ISWAP. It does look like they are correct, isn't it?
Well, Sheung, I mean, when I took that point, I was so concerned because I felt the federal government came out too soon. And I said, what evidence did they have? I mean, it's important for us to have the evidence. How did you come to the conclusion that the incident or the dastardly act could be linked to ISWAP? And that's why immediately I came out and said, look, I don't believe this. It's too hasty, and that you need to have concrete evidence. And because I believe that for what the normal practices of ISWAP, they own up to their act, and almost immediately they take credit for the action. And nobody came out in the case of June 5 in Owo to say they were responsible. I felt that was not a great thing to do. That was not a good thing to do. And that was why I challenged it.
How would you describe the attack on the St. Francis Catholic Church? Would you say it was a terrorist attack, or would you say it's an escalation of some actions by those, some people who are living in that community?
No, it was a terrorist attack. There's no other way to describe it. But what we found out was that, look, usually even terrorism all over the world, you cannot come from just outside the community and strike and think you'll be successful. So you find locals who are in support and who you can use. And that's why, unfortunately, we discovered that the terrorists probably came into town and lodged in one or two houses, one house that we know for sure, and before they carry out their strike. So it's act of terrorism and no other way to describe it, but with collusion by probably people, I mean, not probably, by one person or two who live within the community.
You identify them as Ebira, some Ebira people. Ebira is a ethnic group or a tribe in Kogi State. What is your preliminary observation on that situation? Has situation gotten bad between the locals and Ebira people in Owo?
Now, I don't want to be emphatic on that point, because what I said is being mixed up now. I address issue about the arrest of the what I would call attackers who came to a war. The terrorists came to a war on June 5. And at the same time, I went ahead to address about kidnap incidents that we have had of recent, and I said that Ibira people were probably involved in this, and I said we are going to call a meeting with the Ibira community within Ondo State. We have lived together for too long for these sort of incidences to happen, and that was a separate thing. But it is clear that from what we have, that the terror gang in Okene, all of us know Okene probably is the heartland of Ibiras, but the terror gang or the terror in Okene were involved in the incident of June 5. what do we make of that? Are they all Ibiras? That is for us to find out. The names will not give us we don't conclude with the names because we can see that a number of them have two names. They either so name so and so he been something, so and so he been something. So the Department of State Security are still working on this. So we must leave that until we come out, or they come out as to the proper location or where they come from before we jump into total conclusion. For me, I know that there's a terror cell in Okene and everybody knows that, and they strike across the country. They strike in Kogi, they strike in Ekiti, they strike in Ondo State. But this terror cell is one that must be confronted and eliminated. But what I am trying to say is that, look, my reference to Ibiras in my, I think it was courtesy visit by Union of Journalists, was as to incidences that happened recently. And I said, no, these are brothers. We have lived together for long. They cannot get involved in this sort of trade. Let them concentrate on their farming, concentrate on trading, rather than getting involved in kidnapping. So that was a different case.
Now, 19 days after the 5th of June attack, there was a press conference by Mr. Adeleye, the Amotekun commander in Ondo State. And he did come out to say arrests have been made. He said they pursue them. I'm trying for you to give us an understanding of the effort of the Amotekun, the effectiveness. You and your colleagues in the Southwest region, you came up with this initiative. For the Owo attack, how effective was the Amotekun Corps in the in the arrest of these terror gang?
Well, Amotekun has been most effective in southwestern states and in Ondo State in particular. On this incident, when it happened, Amotekun they were involved in the odd pursuit of the terrorists. And part of what happened was that, look, some of the vehicle they use, they change vehicles, they take vehicles from anybody, jump into it and move on. Amotekun was able to get one of the vehicles, and SIM cards that were used, that were found there, Amotekun had to hand over to the Department of State Security. And we believe that this effort, from what they got, assisted in tracking these terrorists. So that is probably very basic, that look, okay, you must have a clue. We don't just go and move into the bush without knowing where you are going. You won't get the pathway. So I believe that Amotekun's effort was one, being there when it happened and all purchase of these terrorists. They were able to at least get the vehicle, get some of the SIM cards, which they handed over to the SSS for their own further work. And I want to say that the result of what we have gotten today is the great work that the Department of State Security did, because they went into it, and I was briefed constantly as to what happened. I mean, the man who harbored them in Owo, I was informed of his arrest over 2 weeks ago, but I had a part with the state security is for me to keep quiet so that they can make more arrests. And even the arrests they made, we knew about that since last week. And our part with them was that, look, we still have 1 or 2 people we are trying to get. So let us still keep it under wrap. So we kept it under wrap until the CDS came out. And I'm sure not with I'm sure he didn't get the buy-in of the director of the SS to make that announcement, because there were still 1 or 2 people they were trying to get. And we kept quiet. We felt, let them conclude their investigation and make necessary arrests before we come and talk about it. But since it has come out, there's nothing to hide again. That's why I had to talk about it yesterday.
Okay, now, so we're getting somewhere. So when you and your colleagues came up with the Amotekun initiative, what came into your mind? If you look at the global picture of the event, I mean, I was able to put out a timeline to see how these events went, and we're able to, as citizens, whatever anyone is watching from home, will be able to see how things, culminated before yesterday when the CDS came out. Now, what I'm driving at, and the question I'd like to ask you, is that if it wasn't for the effort, initial and the immediate effort of Amotekun, do you think there will probably be any headway in these arrests?
No, Amotekun takes his own credit, but I do not deny the fact that the Department of State Security were out and they did tremendous work too. You see, when we have limitation, Amotekun has his own limitation. Let's say Western Nigeria security. Yes, I know that we receive cooperation from Oyo, from Ogun. We can move to any state in Western Nigeria. But when you come to cross-border, you see, terrorism, and it leaves from here, gets to Kogi, Amotekun cannot go there. There's not much. Whatever Amotekun wants to do will face some problem there. So we do not go beyond Western Nigeria. We try to make efforts so that we can have cooperation. But again, one of the problems we face over time, maybe we'll solve it over time. But for now, we must give credit to the to the Department of State Security for their efforts in this particular instance, because they went all out. Yes, the CDS has said it, that they all went, but what I know for sure is that the pathway to getting these people was properly marshaled by the state security, Department of State Security, and from there, they will not just go there. Yes, they carry arms, but they need more serious arms to go into their den to arrest them. So they needed the military and probably the police to assist them, but Amotekun cannot go from Ondo to Kogi to help them in this arrest.
All right. So, we can see the importance of intelligence in all of this. Intelligence led to where we are today, and perhaps the effectiveness of the information gathered. Now, how vulnerable, because there are definitely going to be lessons learned, not only for you as a governor of Ondo State in your territory, but from your other colleague governors within the Southwest. But from what happened in Owo and the subsequent events that led to yesterday, how vulnerable do you think that the forests and the bushes in the Southwest are presently?
No, it's really, really very vulnerable. It's an unfortunate development, and at least we know that in Southwest we have been making efforts. That's why we said we'll make our forests inhabitable for criminals. We are making efforts, and but the forest is so large, and they know. These criminals and probably those who are colluding with them know the forest even more than us, or more than our forces now, Amotekun. So we are getting more of the hunters who also know this forest very well. All of us know that secret of the treetops is known to the monkey, and we need to be part of them. So our forest is really, really vulnerable, and these people is because the forest is vast, so vast that look, only can you cover it. At the end of the day, we're able to hide one place or the other, carry out their nefarious activity. But as we move, we are destroying a number of their cells. And I know Amotekun has been effective in those states in that respect. That look, we have moved and destroyed a number of areas where these activities are going on, but we have not covered everything. And again, as we are moving, people are coming again, and it's an unfortunate. It's most unfortunate as you try to make way or to try and see that you dislodge these people. It is for you to come to the street on road to see trailer loads of people who are coming, and they are going nowhere, and they just drop and move into the forest with arms, ammunition. So why is that? Is that how? It's not migration any longer. It is to us a threat to the lives and properties of our people. So that's why today we have resolved, we will check all these trailers, even when you have cows there or you have food there, because people are prepared to stay under cows and they are covered, they are not bothered. People are prepared to stay, you have beans at the back, you have human being on the other end in tents, and going, no, they don't know where they're going. They don't know. They have no relative they are going to meet. It's just that you just want to get at a place and move into the forest. This cannot continue. So as much as we are trying to see that we free our forest of this, I'll call terrorists or bandits, as much as we try to free our forest of these people, they are still coming. So the X-Men,
let me ask you, Governor Akeredolu. Yeah, sorry, apologies. I mean, some of your colleagues in the Southwest are on high alert because Southwest seems to be somewhat insulated from some of these banditry activities. But recently, with some of the security situation in the country, the atmosphere is charged. Now, there are a lot of lessons to be learned and taken away from here. If there is one tip that you would like to give to your colleagues, I mean, because you have had your hands dirty and you have been very busy in the past days, you have experience now that you can share. What would be that one tip that you would like to give your colleagues in dealing with this kind of situation or preparing their minds for the worst?
Well, what I would say is that we must be alert and encourage our people to say something when they see something. These people they don't come overnight. So intelligence gathering is so important now. It's not going to, we are not going to achieve our aim by just mere power and say, look, we are going to a place, we are going to the forest, we are going to dislodge them. Intelligence gathering is so important. Because if we add people who saw them, for instance, in our come to a place in our there, and people reported that we saw some people moving here, maybe that incident would not have happened. But when you see people who are strange and your people don't come to inform you, there's not much you can do. So the lesson I learned from all this is that intelligence gathering is so important, and that we should not. Yorubas have an adage that if ikule and what is called death from home, if you are not killed by it, the one from outside cannot come and kill you. We have to be very careful about our neighbors too, those that live with us. Now is the time for us to at least be careful about them.
All right. Governor Akeredolu, I have about 2 or 3 questions quickly. 2 quick ones on this issue of security before we move. I just have about 2 questions on politics before we close. One quick one, you've cleared the air about any possible link in the Ojo, a certain Ojo that could be part of the Kuje attack and all of that. You've cleared the air from a statement from your CPS today. I'm not sure that we need to go into that. Yeah, Idris Ojo. Yeah, I don't think we need to go into that since you've cleared the air. Now, the big question, I'm talking to
Sheon, I think it's important to clear that. why I had to say this, even why I had to come out to say it, was that I was briefed. You see, when I have my state director, who is a gentleman and very effective. I was briefed when Ojo was arrested in his brother's house about last week. He informed me and said one of the escapees, even before they started, he said they have information that some of the escapees are in the state and that they're going to go after them. And when they got this Ojo in his brother's house in Akure, he came and gave me briefing that, look, we got one Ojo in his brother's house in Akure, and because it's the same facility, and if you mix up, I believe it was a mix-up, that Ojo's name was mentioned among those who were arrested for the terrorism we had on June 5 in Owo. No, he was arrested as an escapee and probably kept in the same facility in Akure or anywhere they kept them, because I'm not too sure they were kept in Akure. It's because that is one thing on security ground, I don't know. They won't tell me where they keep them. So they ship them here and there because they can come and attack their facility. So I don't know where they kept them, but it was just unfortunate that it was in the same facility and people just took names and announced that it was one of those that was involved in terrorism. No, it was not.
Yeah, one question down, 3 more to go, and I have less than 3 minutes. I don't know how we're going to do it. Senior advocate, I'm speaking to you as a learner sick, one of the most senior lawyers in the land today. It does look like there has been a knee-jerk approach in resolving this insecurity problem. A lot of people have asked Nigerians to go back to us resolving these insecurity problems using our laws. Now, do you think, or what do you make, or how do we go about it in resolving to have a permanent solution to this insecurity challenge? Can our constitution play a part, or how do we go about it? You are a second-term governor. What do we do exactly? If you can do that for us in a few seconds to give us a solution to this problem.
Nobody is a repository of knowledge to know what solution to this problem will be. But one thing is clear from what we have experienced, from what we gather all over the world. Terrorism will fester if you continue to treat it with kid gloves. And this is what we are doing in Nigeria today. You don't treat terrorism with kid gloves. You don't treat banditry with kid gloves. To me, what other countries have done, if we are to learn from that, then the better for us. You don't take terrorists, you don't bring them as prisoners. If you want to deal with them, deal with them. And I'm sure they will run away wherever they are found. By the time you have dealt with them there, the surrounding will be cleared. And that, for me, is the solution. It's not in the constitution, it's not in any law, but I can tell you, you don't take prisoners of terrorists. If you continue to do that, you won't get anywhere. That's why they will be able to attack PJ and free them.
Governor Akeredolu, we are totally out of time, but let me risk 30 seconds if we can do that. Today you spoke about Muslim ticket, and I have a feeling that you perhaps are saying this because you are an APC governor. You want your candidate, of course, and your very good friend, Asiwaju Tinubu, to win as a candidate of your party. If you were not in the APC, and the other, you have an opposition party go in the same direction your party had gone, in the same faith ticket, would you have said the same thing, knowing full well that you are of the other faith too?
No, I would have said the same thing. If you are listening to my lecture today, I was very clear. I said that religion is not the issue now. We have other issues that should be in the front burner today in this country. Issue of restructuring, issue of rotational presidency, and all of us. I said, look, since 1999, there is an understanding that we move from north to south, rotate the presidency, and that if today we have people who want to deploy what I would call manipulation of our people on religious basis, to think that you can change this, then we should not accept it. So for me, it's not because of Ashwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu. If you listen to my lecture, I said, if Obi is elected as president, he has, for me, that would be all right. If Bola Ahmed Tinubu is elected, that would be all right. For me, it must come to South. That is the position. And I am saying this, all right. You know that as South chairman, as Southwest chairman, we took position on this, that presidency must rotate to South. It's not because of APC. And when you talk about religion, I'm saying religion should have no part to play. Competence, knowledge, and your record, track record should be what to play in this instance. You don't say, I want to ride in a car, and because a blind Christian, he must drive me. And I have a Muslim that is seen very well.
Governor.
So it's not possible.
Thank you so much, Governor Rotimi Akeredolu. It's a pleasure talking to you tonight, and I appreciate it. Thank you so much also, Honorable Abdulrazak Namdaz. Thank you so much indeed for your thoughts tonight. Well, we're totally out of time on the program. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. That's our show for today. Many thanks for watching. I'm Sean Kimale. Bye for now.